Hi guys, welcome to Lady Listens, and today we have a nice special interview with
OQ.
OQ. How you doing, OQ?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good. We're here again at Too Sweet. Thank you, Too Sweet, for not kicking us out yet. You know, knocking on wood for that one. Before we get started, I always like to ask people, what are we drinking today? Every time we come in here, I feel like what you drink tells a little bit about you. So what are we drinking today?
Strawberry lemonade per you. So thank you for that.
You know, that's the second artist in a row that gets strawberry lemonade because I said so.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Guys, I promise you the strawberry lemonade here is good. It's like good, refreshing, especially during the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you feeling about the weather outside? We just did a couple photos outside, which will be shown soon. Really nice summer weather, but
I'm a summer baby, so I prefer to be hot. So this is my time of year right here.
When is your birthday?
August the 20th.
Okay, mine is August 15th. Okay, Leo's in the house.
Yes.
Good job. But no, I like summer, the idea of summer.
Right.
But it being this hot outside, I'm not ideal. But yeah, strawberry lemonade is a good one. I got me some water beforehand because I was super thirsty, and I was like, should I buy 2 drinks? Let's not be wasteful. So, got myself a water. But for the people who don't know, introduce a little bit about yourself, OQ. Who you are, what you do.
I'm a rapper. I'm a new father. Just a creator, really, in totality. I like to create. I've always been a creative person, whether it's drawing, producing, beat making, I played basketball, I played the point guard, so I had to run the offense. Just stuff like that. It's just always been my nature. So grew up in Houston, from Houston all my life, on the north side, Acres Home community.
Yeah.
I'm a big community person, love family. And just so happened we're here today because of, my artistic work in music. That's how we got connected through my brother Jude. And we here.
Yeah, that was actually one of my first things I'm gonna ask you about. When I talk to people, I want to know okay, from the start and how did you get here? Because I feel like the journey matters when it comes to artistry, because this is not an overnight thing.
Right.
Like art itself, especially in music, I feel like takes such a long time.
Right.
So you said you're from Acres Home, and you're a big community person. How do you think growing up in Acres Home and being sense of community helped you or shaped you as a person, not only as a person but as an artist? Do you feel like that kind of influenced you a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just because, as a kid, running around in the streets, getting the good and the bad, right? The community, and then obviously what's going on in the community that's bad. It kind of shapes your thought. And as being a black man in America, in the inner city kid, you have that choice to go left or right, right? So, I mean, just all of the situations that I had growing up, the family that I had behind me, my mother, it just is nothing like it. And, once you get out of these spaces, you always tell yourself you don't want your kid or, you want to move out of that. But in totality, I think it really helps shape the person who you are, because it's like starting from the bottom and, making it to the top or making it through those adversities. So, I would say it has everything to do with who I am today.
Do you feel like it gives you a sense of appreciation, everything you have in your life right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows me how to not take things for granted. And then I always look back on where I could have been, the people, the close friends that I have that have died, been to jail, and just, again, chose that different path than me. So, I mean, it just makes me appreciative of it overall.
Yeah. I feel like community, it does take a village, I feel like, to raise a person, one thing, but as an artist as well, I feel like you see it, because you are the front man of what you do and everything. But like you said, you have Jug right behind you, you have the producers, you have the artists and the photographers. It takes such a big village to push one single artist out. So shout out to you in community sense. I don't know, something about being in a good community and talking to people, is a lot of sweet. A lot for things what I do for work has me inside these communities like Acres Home and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a really good thing. Feels good to connect with other humans sometimes.
Yeah.
But I was listening a little bit to your music beforehand. I was like, let me get kind of sense of what you sound like. But talk to me. We're still in Acres Home. What was playing in your house growing up? What do you remember? That's a good.
Really just blues. A lot of the blues. My grandma, she was big on blues, card games, fish fries, stuff like that. So, as a kid, you're running around and you're not really paying attention to what these words, what these songs are. And then when you grow up, you can it's out of nowhere, the song. If the song plays, you know it. And, I pride on myself of being a family DJ whenever we get together. Everybody want me to get on the spot. So, just like rhythm and blues, party music, like slide music, like the electric side stuff like that. And then of course rap. So you have and this just came from like being with my uncle.
Okay.
Or my dad, just hip hop in general, or like the Houston artists, the Slim Thug, the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, any Southside rapper. All of that is just a total influence of what I've heard over my years. Yeah.
I feel like that happens to me sometimes too. When it's like I hear a song and I was like, I know every single word. I was like, I don't have this nowhere in my playlist. I was like, when did I know these songs?
Yeah.
But I feel like, so was music a big thing in your family? Like you said, you have these like parties and you're playing. Like, was music a big thing, or you're kind of the first one to kind of step in this career path?
Yeah, I definitely am. Well, I have a cousin, a distance cousin, and he does music. But for somebody to pursue it, like be instrumental, producing, making beats, I'm the first person. But I think it's just unique in that way because in my family, like my talent is like rare. Like everybody kind of look at me as the creative person. My sister is creative too. I give her a little credit. But
just in case she's watching.
Yeah, just in case she watched. But she had a lot to do with shaping me with my creativity because I kind of follow behind her. I am the only boy in my family. So, I grew up around a lot of sisters, and they kind of had to be my big brothers at the same time. So, I've always just kind of been like that. So, yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, I feel like, was it, I don't want to say scary, but was it like intimidating for you to kind of branch out and do artistry full time? Or do you remember, was there a certain moment where you're like, oh no, like I'm doing this? Like,
it was early on, just because my mom didn't really understand. Coming from like a black family or black community, a lot of times we don't get that support of, oh, you're going to do something that's not making immediate gain. So it's kind of like a shot in the dark for me. And really, once I came back from college, playing sports, that didn't work out for me. So my next talent that I enjoyed to do was music. So I kind of started to slowly get into it. I didn't take it serious when I first started doing it. It was just kind of something that we did to kind of like congregate together, me and my friends. But as I start to stand out a little bit more, and I start to kind of sit back and say, hey man, I'm really good at this, I started to take it a little bit more serious. And it got scary because now I got to start doing shows. I got to talk. I got to do interviews, photo shoots. Jugs stay on me about doing stuff. So, it got a little scary, but as my confidence grew, I was okay with it.
Yeah. It's like, so you said you played basketball. Was this in college?
Yeah.
Okay,
college,
nice.
Yeah.
So how was that playing college basketball? And did it?
Yeah.
So during that time, were you making music, or were you just like purely focused on basketball?
No, I mean, I should have been. Genuinely, I should have been. And not to say that music, I couldn't have made music still, but I should have been a little bit more focused. But yeah, I mean, it happened that way, and I look back at that, and that's just my story, right? So yeah, I mean, college, you get refund checks and stuff like that. So I bought me a mic, a computer. And when I wasn't playing basketball or practicing, I was making music in my dorms.
Yeah.
So by the time basketball, like that window closed for me, I had already had the experiences that I had with music.
Nice.
So it just, like I said, I look at the timeline and it just worked out that way.
Yeah.
So.
And I imagine you gained some experiences from there, like you were never would have, different path.
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about your inspiration artists, because I would listen to your music, a lot of J. Cole, so like a lot of, like, I feel like the J. Cole in sense of like storytelling and just like very like, what's it called when he pronunciation, just very like sharp like that.
Yeah.
Joey Badass,
okay.
A lot of Joey Badass, and like old school, because we were talking about New York, how like you wanted to visit New York. I do get that sense of like New York-esque rap.
Right.
It'd be like the old school boom bap, but over different productions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
exactly.
Talk to me a little about, you mentioned a little bit of the Houston, rappers, like the Slim Thugs, that, but do you have other artists that you, not maybe like inspiration, but like you kind of like, I kind of like what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like older artists, probably like Jay-Z is probably the biggest influence for me.
Okay.
That's like my GOAT. And then, I just had to become, as I start taking music serious, I had to become more of a student of music. So I had to start listening to the Rakims and the, Scarfaces and stuff like that. But just for the path that I'm going, with anybody that's doing anything in whatever field, you want to figure out those people that was the most successful at it and kind of study them. So yeah, you're absolutely right. A descendant of all of those artists that you name are like, the J. Cole's, the Joey Badasses, come from their favorite probably is Jay-Z.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
A New York rapper. So, and a lot of people tell me I don't sound like I'm from Houston. I sound like I'm from the East
Yeah,
Coast.
yeah, I
So,
get that sense, but I
yeah.
mean, music is universal. Like, it sounds cool when people have like a certain sound, like regional sound, but it's also like you are a Houston artist, but you're making this type of music, and that doesn't matter as long as you're making
Right.
cool, authentic music that you relate to and we relate to.
Yeah.
That's all that matters at the end of the day.
I try to have my Houston references.
Yeah.
Like I said, I always put my community in my music.
Right.
And just try to make it like the East Coast, but for Houston.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you kind of got to bridge that gap when you're coming from the South or you're coming from, you know, this side of it, because you know it's kind of like territorial where people only respect it if it's coming from that side, versus if I'm doing it over here and I can make you respect it over here. So that's kind of my main goal.
Yeah.
One of my main goals.
Like you said, you're bridging that gap. Like I said, your sound, like your voice does sound like New York-esque, like, you know, the cool dad. But the production is that I feel like that's what takes it out of New York. It's like just different types of production over it. So super cool. And you do produce your music. Yeah. We'll get into production a little because I love production in the sense like I'm just a big fan of production because like, oh, I can never do that. I'm like, I don't know how you found in rapping as well. I was like, I don't know how y'all find those pockets. Like I can, because I was like, I listened to an instrumental of a song and I'm like, how did you even find that pocket? Or like that certain melody and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is that? But we'll get into your production side because it's also a very cool side of you.
For sure.
It's been 3 years since your last album.
Yeah.
What were some things that you were experiencing these 3 years? You know, you got to live life a little.
Yeah.
What are some cool things?
Like the number one thing, the biggest thing is me having a kid. You know, it kind of came toward the end, the latter end of the project. But you know, you'll hear a song in there where I'm kind of talking about my experiences with that. But in the new project rather. But just I think for me it was like once I got the last album, which was '94, it was kind of like everything that I had to give at that moment in time. So it was very it was a lot of storytelling, a lot of the situations that I had dealt with at that moment. So what I tried to do is, because I give so much to my albums, I tried to allow myself to have more experiences.
Right.
You know, I didn't want it to take 3 years, but you know, I couldn't rush it.
Yeah, because I was like you said, everything you wrote to that point, it's like what you live so far. It's like you have to live to then tell stories.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's really, really nice. Was it relaxing or was it just kind of like, was that in the back of my mind, like, damn, I gotta do this?
It definitely was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with Jug, he's always, hey, you got something? What you, I know you're working on something. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you kind of got to do it when it feels right.
Right.
And that's just what happened with me. You know, I'm always close to it whenever I'm far away from it. But I tell him all the time, man, it could be one night. I could turn it on one night and I have an album ready or half of an album ready. So I never really worry about my hiatuses.
Yeah.
Because I know it doesn't take that long for me to get inspired, and then I'll be right back at it.
Yeah.
So I just try to make it happen all genuine. So.
And for me, it's always quality over quantity. I was like, if you was to drop an album every single year, but the quality isn't there, I'd rather you stay in silence for 3 years than finally make this great album masterpiece that we're, because I was like, I don't want to hear all these tracks. I was like, you could have kept in the vault.
Exactly.
But I got to listen. Thank you for the exclusive little listen. The album. It is QSA Volume 1. So talk to me a little bit about that album and what it means to you to finally, like you said, it took the 3 years. You lived. You had a child. What does it mean to you to finally like wrap it up, turn it in? Like, here you go.
Yeah.
Have this.
Yeah, it was everything. That last studio session was everything. I didn't really show it, but like when I got home and I was able to like really listen to the music and just be done, it was, it was like a job well done.
Yeah.
I like where I went with it. The concept actually came from a song that I made in college. So it was kind of like a full circle thing. I actually kind of got started at with the end of the album. Once the baby was born, I had time off of work, so I was just sitting there. So one day I was like, maybe I should finish this album.
Yeah.
So I did it all in that span of time. Everything else after that, we was just in the studio. We had to book the sessions and stuff, but it was. I mean, I had a kid. I don't want to compare it to having a kid, but it was almost like that, like delivering the baby and finishing the project, and then being able to kind of sit back and listen to, everything you did.
Yeah,
So,
congrats, man. I know it takes a long time, so congrats. This album is coming out July 18th, so July. I was gonna ask, I thought maybe that was your birthday. You're saying it was the summer, but does it have any significance, July 18th, or it's just...
we wanted to do a significance. I think it was
June 3rd.
June 3rd. But situations happened with the studio session where we wouldn't be able to get it done in time. And the significance was it was when Jay-Z first became a billionaire.
Okay.
Or something like that. So that was kind of the idea of the project. Somebody that's going from nothing to something. But it didn't work out. So it's cool. Usually my albums come out on my birthday, so for it to come out not on my birthday is still a significance.
That is such a Leo thing to have exactly on your birthday. And I would too. I would too. But July 8th is the time. Just keep up for July. We're gonna keep going on that social media thing. But I want to talk a little bit about some song highlights. So some songs that stood out to me, and you tell me a little bit more of the backstory of just little side notes you want to do. The first one was Cavalier. I think the beat is a little more relaxed compared to the other songs, and the hook was really catchy to me. I was like, oh, this is a nice hook. So talk to me a little bit about Cavalier.
The production, really, for me, whenever I make a beat, I just go off how the beat makes me feel. That song in particular, the hook was wrote first. It kind of gave me like a 70s, like big Afro groovy feel.
Yeah.
So that's really why that background vocal of the hook, like chill, it's kind of like basically like that. And then the words was just, the verses just came. I can't tell you how the verses came, where I pulled the words from, but I just really go off of feeling. And when I made the beat, I make skeletons of the beat. So I'll make like one half of the beat, and then I'll just play it, get up out the seat, walk around, and it just all comes that way. And I write on my phone, so that's just... So
when it comes to producing song, is it the beat first, is the writing first? It just depends on how you're feeling.
For me, it's always the beat. I'm not gonna pretend to be that super, I write in my head guy. But if I hear a beat and it's something that I like, usually that's how my creativity starts. I'm not saying that I'm against it or I couldn't do it, but as a producer, that's what gets my creativity going.
Right. And that's super, like, you don't gotta wait around like, damn, I gotta make a beat, I gotta find a beat. Man, I'm just sit down and make this beat, man. Shout out to you. Another one was Money Laundering. Another one that was super cool. I feel like this one, I don't know what you did in the production, but it felt like very crime-esque. Like, I don't know if you had some like heist music going on. I was like, this is so funny to me. I was like, that one made me, I was like, I see what he did here. So talk to me about Money Laundering.
You got the concept right off the bat. Like that's what it made me feel like. It kind of felt like somebody was sneaking, or like I was telling Jug, like maybe it made me feel like I was on a stakeout, like I was an FBI agent and I was watching something. So, and then the concept of the song is money laundering. It's, you go to the cleaners to wash, the money or whatever. So that's what kind of and it's kind of like a teacher. If you really listen to what I'm saying, it's kind of like I'm teaching something in the song, which is conceptual from the song that's above it or below it. So that's the overall picture of it. But I'm glad you caught that.
That was so funny. I was like, it like in my head, it was like, how when they like the people just go in heist and they're like dropping down and they're just like black like that. That's what I was like, this could be like, if you do music for a bit that you have to do like in a bank, like the full like money heist, the red lasers, so that you have to do that for that one. And then for the Nice Summer, I feel like a Nice Summer one was Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast? Okay. Amalfi Coast has a nice like summer feel with a nice hook from your feature as well. So that was definitely summer-esque. So talk to me about, because when I listened to the album, a lot of them were, like you said, one thing, I forgot to say this, but one thing I did, like the overall theme word that came to my head when I listened to your full album was hunger. In the sense of like, I feel like, like you were just like, dude, like I'm putting everything, like I'm so hungry for this. So these stood out because all the other ones you're aggressive and like you're like, okay, I'm aiming for something, and these kind of stood out for me, like, oh, but I can still relax and have fun, and this is a nice summer album. So shout out to you on that one. But Amalfi Coast, Amalfi Coast. How do you-
Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast. I think I just wrote it wrong, so I
Yeah.
keep saying it.
It's cool.
It's a nice summer song with hook, and you have a couple features here and there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this song and some of the features you have on there, and like what kind of do you look for when it comes to features? Like, what do you look for in that?
Yeah, just kind of the same way. What that beat make me feel, and who I think, especially if I know them, how I think they would deliver on that song. And I never want to same thing with me. I never want nobody to put me, or I want to put nobody in a position where, I'm asking them to do something that they really, that's not really my cup of tea. But the guy Pop that I got on that song, he's branching into the R&B sector because he raps, so he wanted to kind of do both. So it was a perfect time. I just had seen him do a cover of SZA Snooze, so I reached out to him immediately, and he reached right back, and then we kind of already mapped it out there. And like you said, I've never been to Amalfi Coast.
Where is that? Like,
it's in Italy.
Okay.
Right. So our dream or our plan is to shoot the video on the Amalfi Coast.
Yeah.
We can't do it in Galveston, but that's
Galveston, all the places.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just the feel that he gives.
Yeah, no,
like
for
you
sure.
said. That's just the feel that he gives. So that was the aim for that. I have another song behind that, which is another feel-good song. You probably didn't get to hear it because it didn't upload to SoundCloud, but I'll let you hear that exclusive after this.
Thank you.
And I think you would really like that one because it's kind of a continuous of what you hear from those songs.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm a big album consumer. Like, I consume albums from top to bottom, from intro to the interludes to that. So I was like, you run it top to bottom because I imagine you put it in a certain way that tells a story. The packages add album pretty well. So yeah, shout out to that. And one of your last tracks, you mentioned a new era, right? So you're entering this new era. What do you mean why you say new era? Like, what do you see now kind of opening up?
I think the biggest thing that was my song for fatherhood. Okay. Because that's basically how I started it off. New life, just the start of something great, I guess. I'm used to planting seeds, but this one is the best, right? So, and then later on in the verse, I say I got a daughter that makes me smarter and twice dangerous. So it's just one of those things where I'm kind of, and it's really like a continuous track for the next project, which is QSA Volume 2. It just kind of giving you where my demeanor is going. And then Reasonable Out, which is the last track, will kind of be the wrap up of the totality of the album. So that's kind of how I structured it to be. New era is basically saying, okay, after I give you this, now next is going to be something different. Right. And then the second verse is what it is. Couple more subliminals, or not subliminals, but a couple of more hints at another album. And then hopefully I can do the second one and just continue that vibe.
Yeah. A big question for me, you keep mentioning fatherhood, which I imagine is something life-changing. What has your new perspective now that you have is it daughter, right? Daughter?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Daughter, shout out women.
Yeah.
So now you being a new father, especially to a daughter, do you see not only you as your life different, but are you approaching music different now?
Yeah, with taking it more serious. A lot of the times that I get anxiety or I get scared, I have that, I have her to think about, because, when she gets older and she's getting anxiety, and, I have to be able to coach her on that and get her through it. So it gives me strength to, whenever I get in those moments, to just push through, because, how would I want her to, handle those situations? So that's the biggest thing. And then it just changed me overall. When you have somebody that you have to take care of, or that's looking for you to, feed them, to clothe them, house them, it could change you in a way it makes you kind of not have tolerance for certain things and stuff like that. I'm still a easy guy, but it still kind of makes me a little bit more vigilant, right? Like I said in the song. So, but again, like I tell people all the time, it's just my biggest blessing. So, yeah.
Shout out to you, man. Congrats on being a new father.
Thank you.
Congrats. So that's the music side. Now let's go on to production side, because you do use two separate entities, right? So you're OQ as an artist, but it's not you, it's Q as a producer. Yeah. Talk to me about some of your favorite sounds you like to throw in there and certain stuff. Because for example, when I listen to production, I like nature sounds and like I was like, oh, I feel like it kind of like makes the music feel like it how do I explain it? Like it fills up the room, right?
Right.
Because the ambiance.
Right.
So talk to me about some of your favorite sounds that you kind of like to throw in stuff.
I mean, because I'm not a very big instrumentation person.
Okay.
I usually sample a lot.
Okay.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I can sample the earthy song
Yeah.
and get those instruments or those sounds out of it. But to say that I have a specific sound, I probably couldn't say that.
Or like sampling, like what do you have a certain time period you look for when sampling?
I love like soulful samples. So
Okay.
like 80s, 90s, anything like that. And I kind of changed the way that I do things. So I use the drums first, and then whatever drums that I like, the beat, then I would add the chops of the song. And usually it's really like a shot in the dark sometimes. Sometimes I hit a key and I'm like, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Okay. So, and that's just how I kind of put it all together. But everything is different, and I'm never above anything. I would try anything. I would sample, and sometimes the best thing I could do, I'll tell you this. One of my secrets is, if you ever get in as a producer, if you ever get in a kind of like producer block, writer's block, just watch movies.
Okay.
Just watch movies, because movies have soundtracks. You know, it's a movie, so it has themes, it has, you know, characters, storylines. I just watch movies. And usually that's where a lot of inspiration comes from. Sometimes I just say, hey Siri, what's this song? And she'll tell me whatever that song is
All right,
called.
phone's active.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll kind of use that song, and then for me, it'll be like a story that I could tell. I got this song from watching this movie, I sampled this, and then I came up with the concept. So it just kind of brings it all full circle.
Interesting. I like the movie thing. I don't watch a lot of movies, like here and there. That's really interesting. But I do watch like shows, like, oh, okay, like certain colors remind me of certain things. I was like, okay, next time I want to do a photo shoot, I want to try this color theme or blah, blah. So what are some of your favorite movies?
Some of my favorite movies. You got me on that. I've been trying to get into a lot of like because of my theme of the album, I've been trying to get into like a lot of the like crime family movies.
Okay.
I tried to watch like Godfather stuff. It's just so long. It's just so long. But like I do like a lot of like comic movies, like a lot of the Fridays and stuff like that. Classical movies like that, you know, stuff like that. I'm very, very big into I hate movies that's like this. I love the shows, but like what you call it, sci-fi.
Okay.
So like 100, anything that got to do with zombie and the world ending for some reason.
Really?
Call me crazy, but I love stuff like that. It just teach me how to survive when these things happen. Right now I'm watching The Last of Us.
Okay.
So that's kind of like stuff like that is what I'm like into. I can binge watch that all night. But,
and I can imagine they have like, I feel like horror movies like that are like very like gory stuff, has a nice color. Well, as a photographer, has a nice like color palette, like very dark. So I imagine the sound is also a big thing. Yeah. So shout out to that. Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, talk to me. We have this new album coming out. It is called QSA Volume 1. There's going to be hopefully Volume 2. You know, keep adding as you're entering this new era of just fatherhood and just life in general. And when people listen to this album, I hope y'all listen from top to bottom. Please do. But once they revisit, what are two must listen to songs that you're like, okay, y'all need to re-listen for sure to these two songs?
So Reasonable Out, definitely, because that's like the summary of the album. Okay. And then I would probably say Money Laundering, because it got that feel to it. It kind of it got that theme to it. Yeah. But my personal favorite, and it changes often, but this is like my personal favorite, is Call Me.
Call Me? Okay.
Yeah. Call Me is a big one for me. I always try to implement my mom into the albums. So
yeah, there was some voice. Is that her voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in the middle. It was a voicemail. She called me. I didn't answer the phone. And then at the end, she was on my voicemail. She was praying. So I added that. So it's a real big song for me, personal song for me. So check that out. Y'all get a chance.
I love a good voice, man. I feel like it has such a cool texture and like human person, because it's like actual human beings. Right. I talked to another, and she's like, oh yeah, that's like my friend's like nieces or something like that. So it's really, really cool. But thank you so much for the conversation today. I learned a lot about you and, where your music. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Make sure you stay connected with him. What are some places we should check out your music or stay connected to? this album rollout coming out?
Yeah, Instagram, you can follow me. It's not you, it's Q. You can follow the Forever Dream page, Forever Dream SD. I'm on everywhere on streaming platforms at OQ. Same thing, it's not you, it's Q on Twitter or TikTok. So
We TikToking.
yeah, it's TikTok.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.